Hey guys, this is Thomas from Team Mystic Hearts. I've just come back from the double header of Blenheim and Nelson Skirmish. I won both of them with my Oldhim deck. I've only been playing him for about 2 weeks. I just thought I'd put out a quick profile talking about the deck and some strategies and stuff and how I played it. So here's the shiny Oldhim we won. What's the most important part, I think, Oldhim's strength is his versatility with armor. Crown of Seeds is it's a crazy card. Pitching a blue means that you can block with this and Rampart, or this and a Staunch Response, this and Nullrune. So it prevents the damage and cycles your card, and then you get to your pitch stack faster that you set up. Winter's Wail, this is just a 3 for 4. You play quite a lot of ice cards in this build, so usually it's going to offer a Frostbite, which means that most of the aggro decks will have to block or give you some armor and a card in hand. Then we play physical blocks. This, when you offer blue, means that you can go Crown, Rampart, Ironhide to block 4. Tectonic is just block 3 and create a Seismic Surge. There's a few cards in the deck that off of a Seismic Surge become way stronger. And Creative Fist blocks 2, blocks 1. I think I had one game where the effect to pitch a blue to give your Spinal Crush +2 came up, so that was good. And then we have the Kano suite, I like to call it. So we run Nullrune 4 and Crown, so that in that matchup you can prevent up to Arcane 5 with an arsenal, which means the only cards that get through you are the Voltic Bolts. You just gotta make sure you don't draw too many reds, but since the red count's pretty low, it doesn't matter. And then in the Runeblade matchups, you run Boots because you need the armor block from the others. And then 2 shields. Rampart and Stalagmite. These fulfill very different roles, but both have quite a lot of power. This is for when you think your match is going to go for a long time, and you're looking to dodge reprise effects from the warriors. This is for when you're pretty sure that you can get away with just Crown and not needing the Rampart, and you need to stop your opponent's big turns like Viserai and Rhinar. Giving them a Frostbite can prevent up to 4 damage. I usually was using this to stop the Rosetta swing at the end of the chain, so that was quite strong. Or force the card to be pitched in hand and not in arsenal, which means that your next turn they're not going to be able to do as much damage. Also means you have 2, 4, 6, and then 7, 8, 9 armor block, which is crazy. Now for the main deck. Our threats as Oaken Old and Endless Winter. These are the only few cards we play because they're the only good ones. So Oaken Old is your I'm gonna win the game button. It's always good when you fuse it. You only run, I think, 5 earth cards, so usually you're pitching this or crowning it away to set it up for late game, but sometimes you do just hard draw it or you arsenal it and wait for the earth or ice card. Endless Winter off of a surge token means you can play this off of 1 blue, so you only need the one in arsenal or you've crowned into it. This was very good for when I needed to get my opponent to block or just progress the game and take damage. Oldhim really struggles to get any life total through because he doesn't have a lot of big threats, so they just progress the game state so you don't draw in time. And then our disruption continues with CNC, Spinal Crush and Pummel. So Spinal Crush and Command and Conquer are just a really good way to get armor out in the early game if you need to, or in the late game to just get cards out of hand. This costing 2 has a few niche interactions with some of our blue cards in Tectonic that I'll come up with later. Pummel, not very good in the early game, unless you draw it with a crush and then the amount of blues, and then it's just one really good cycle. But I really like arsenaling this or pitching it and then coming back to it later as a way to end the game once you're just swinging hammer. Your opponent can't play around it on every turn, so you either pummel for the win, they have to have the reaction, or leave it in arsenal and do it again next turn. And then we play for our defensive reds, Sink Below and Steadfast. Sync Blow is okay. I just liked having the 4 block and the cycle because the quicker we get through our deck, the quicker we can win the game. And then Steadfast was... I was expecting a lot of dominate attacks and Kano. This basically means that the Kano Kono to KU with is the Aether Wildfire or Stir into the Blazing Aether combos, because you just prevent all 6 and then they don't have any of the recursive damage. That's all of the reds, and now we'll move on to the blues. We have Polar Blast, Winter's Bite, Winter's Grasp, and Channel Lake. These are all the blues that we maxed out on. This blocks 3, this blocks 3, Disruption for certain decks. Very rare. I think I activated Winter's Bite once over the entire day, but when you get to the end game and you're just trying to get a card out of your opponent's hand so they don't have any pressure back, this is really good. Polar Blast was an MVP, I'm going to say, for pushing damage into the slower matchups. The drawers also means that you don't have to use Crown. You can just save this for the pressure. It costing 1 meant that things like CNC or Spinal Crush or anything that wasn't an exact blue pitch, or when you were pitching 2 blues anyway, it's a good resource management. And then for the cards that I think you could change, so these were my 3 one-offs. Ice Quake is just a blue ice card, but since it costs 1, you can usually pitch it in the early game just for hammer, but in the late game, once you've got rid of most of the armor from your big guardian attacks, doing this on a command and conquer or a hammer just really forces that extra block, especially on command and conquer with the no defense reactions. Blocking or forcing 7 through means that you'll swing tempo really easily. These 2 are very meta dependent. You know, like if you're expecting lots of guardian, this card's terrible. It's just an ice block that doesn't block. Expose has some very strong applications against people who don't play around it, like putting the temper counter on the Courage of Blade Hold or the Sonata Arcanics when they block with it, so that it'll go down to 0 and destroy itself, or popping your opponent's crown in the mirror. Can win you the game, but a lot of times for me this was just a blue. I think I only resolved it once all day, and most of the good players were just playing around it, so I think I'll be cutting this in the future, but having 1 of each meant that your opponent doesn't know if you have 2, so that usually you play around it. It's the old Pummel mind games. Pulse of Isenloft. This card could have no text. It's an Ice Earth card and a blue, so will always be strong, especially for Oldhim's reaction ability. And then for the Earth cards that don't suck, we have Blue Raging Onslaught and Sow Tomorrow. This is just a blue block Earth card, nothing to say about that. Sow Tomorrow though, some of your control matchups like the Oldhim mirror, this card's really important. You've got to make sure you save it for the late game, because you'll generally both have a lot of defensive cards, so it's really hard to push damage. And this lets you put some of your threats back, like Oaken Old, once you've got the smaller deck. As long as you haven't used the pulse defense reaction, it gives you a much easier way to close out the game. Then we've got Staunch Response, Terra Asunder, Glacial Footsteps, Disable, and Macho Grande. So as a blue reaction, the Kasai deck will usually go up to 5 as a pretty good number, being their base 2 and then a +3. So this lets you block that, and then you can crown or rampart with the other resource or Ironhide. So a lot of it being 2 cost is huge, and then like in the mirror you don't get automatically screwed by a dominate because you can pitch the 6 to get it up to 8. And then for our guardian attacks, we play Macho Grande and Glacial Footsteps. So these are just different cards with dominate that lets you close out the game, being both for 8. This you can play off 2 blues with a Stalagmite. This is 2 blues and a nice card in hand, so I'll block with one of them over the other depending on the matchup and what you think is more likely to have at the end of the game, being a full grip or a seismic token into 2 blues. This is just the objectively least or worst blue block 3 Guardian attack. I don't think I crushed with it at all. It just blocked 3 and had big damage. Asunder, I think this card is amazing. It's a non-attack for your Kasai matchup and other warriors. It lets you push damage, which is really important in your end game, so I like keeping this in deck, or even just leaving it in arsenal for the crown is very good, because then either you can put it away for later or force armor box with this and the hammer. You only need this and then 2 blues in hand to do that. And once you start to eliminate all your opponent's armor, your Winter's Wail has a lot more impact. That's it for the main deck. Our 2 tokens. I'll just talk quickly about the different matchups I played and how to play each one. So with Kano, I think I'll do that one because it's the only like niche one first. We don't want either of these. We just go a quick Nullrune, Hard Ice Crown. So you always start, I think, in every matchup because setting up the Crown of Seeds and then either a Tectonic or a Heart of Ice pitch just to cycle your hand is quite good. So with Kano, we're looking at just pitching a blue or a red to activate Heart of Ice. So that way that forces all of their wizard instant shenanigans early. Which then they don't know how many blues you got, so they don't know if they're going to be able to push damage or not. So you just keep preventing all of the important stuff and then Arsenal pass, or if they don't do anything, you just swing your hammer or a low-costed Guardian attack to try and push some damage. So really important to hold Steadfast here, as steadfasting their anything that goes up above 5 means that they won't be able to kill you with the Blazing Aether blowout turn. Also, for expose the elements is okay in this matchup. You will, if they do all of their instant stuff in your turn after they Heart of Ice, you can do this in their turn when they have no cards left and blow them out by destroying the boots and getting rid of the tunic counter. Tunic block. That's kind of it for the Kano matchup, apart from I like saying try and save your Oaken Olds to end the game. Once you get them to the low enough life total when you reach your pitch cycle, this is the best card to kill them with because it comes in for 9 dominate and will leave you with 2 blues to pitch to Nullrune. There's no point Heart of Icing when you're just trying to kill them, as it just gives them a window. You just want to show and threaten lethal. For other matchups, I'll quickly talk about. Viserai is quite popular at the moment. For Viserai, I recommend Stalagmite and your full tank and Nullrune. With the Viserai decks, you are looking to tax them until they have a sufficient amount of rune chance, and then you generally want one of your big red attacks that's going to force a card out of their hand or their armor to make thing. So your Oaken Old fuse. Pummel was okay. Command is very good. Get rid of the Sonata. Removing the Go Again. Or this one, they'll usually just take 8, so I like doing this before they build up all their rune chants. And they'll block it out and pass, or take 8, and then you gotta pray. For the mirror, I think this doesn't come up. Sorry, just the other decks I play Stalagmite into are any aggro deck where you know that their plan is to try and force through lots of damage in one turn, such as Reiner and Viserai. Every other deck you can kind of become inevitable with Rampart. So I've only been playing for this deck for about 2 weeks, so if anyone has any advice, put it down in the comments, or anything they want to know about my opinions. And that's really it on the Oldhim deck. taking it to more skirmishes, and hopefully we can win a few more lovely mats.